All right, welcome back to the iWealth podcast. I have JP Eakin with me today from the iWealth office over in Waseca. And you and I just had this conversation about 2 weeks ago. I had a client that I talked to that said, Brad, I wish I would have not retired. He just felt out of sorts. And, you know, you've been doing this long enough, dealt with enough people too. Like you and I have had this conversation. And I think what he was really trying to say is that it's just weird for him. But I mean, have you experienced that with clients? Like what happens, the psychology of somebody that retires when it comes to money? What have you experienced? What do we talk about?
Yeah, you know, kind of what we talked about was they're already going through a huge transition. They've worked for a company for X amount of years, and now they're moving on and trying to identify that next purpose. Mm-hmm. And one of the big adjustments that they have to get used to is that they're no longer receiving that direct deposit paycheck from the company. Yep. They're working and they're making those funds, and then they're getting paid for those funds.
Yeah.
Now they're transitioning into using what they've saved, and they don't feel like they're necessarily working,
yep,
but they're getting paid from their investments and they're living off of that rather than, that paycheck that we talked about. And it's hard for them to, kind of psychologically make that shift into using those investments that we've set up for them.
It's so interesting. Like we can sit down and model it out, like we have software and things, and show them that they're fine financially. Like even if you get 3% rate of return and live till you're 90, like you're good. But that mind shift of living off of your investments, like not running out of money, mm-hmm, is a big mind shift. And so you've heard it, I've heard it from clients. It's just like, maybe I should have worked a couple more years, put a little bit more in the bank. I have a client right now, in fact, that was supposed to retire December, then June, and now it's like out to next year because of the same thing. Like just, I think, worried about running out of money. Mm-hmm. So we can show them, we can prove it to them over time, but it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you can put enough emphasis on what you said there in regards to us being able to put cash flow in front of them. And it doesn't matter if we say you can spend X dollars amount and just be just fine. They still have to make that, psychological change. We can show them cash flow in every single meeting, and they're still worried, mm-hmm, about, do I have enough?
Yeah. Yeah. Recently we just had our 30th anniversary of iWealth and had several clients, come up and talk to us. And some of those statements were, I was really worried when I retired, and they're doing well. My paycheck keeps coming, Brad, 30 years later, 20 years later, my check is still coming, and they're happy about it. But it's a transition, isn't it?
For sure. Sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for checking this out. And hopefully you don't fall into that pattern. If you need a coach, let us know. Like us on Facebook or our podcast, things like that. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.